give everybody a chance to get settled. Good morning. My name is Sergeant Ray Ormond. I am the Public Information Officer for the Utah County Sheriff's Office. We want to welcome everybody here today as we are going to be releasing some definitive information in the homicide of Laura Ann Aime. With us here today, we have obviously Sheriff Mike Smith. We have Commissioner Bo Mason from the Utah Department of Public Safety. We have our Sergeant Mike Reynolds over our investigations team, his lead detective Jake Hall, who helped spearhead this investigation. We also have representatives and family members of the Laura Ann Aime family. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Sheriff Smith.
Thank you and good morning. We're here today to give an update on the murder of Laura Ann Aime that occurred in the fall of 1974. We now have definitive evidence proving that Theodore Ted Bundy murdered Laura, and we can announce that this case is officially closed. This renewed effort to solve the case came about due to Detective Sergeant Mike Reynolds and Detective Jake Hall in their efforts to review all of Utah County's cold cases. These detectives moved the Aime case forward with evidence gathered in 1974, and I just want to say that, looking at that evidence in 1974, I believe we have one of the investigators here. I want to add that they did a phenomenal job. That evidence has endured the years and was pristine. They did a phenomenal job in preserving what brought us to this conclusion today. With that evidence and the full support of the Utah County Sheriff's Office, we bring this case to a closure, and most importantly, we bring closure, hopefully, to the Aime family who have endured over 50 years of the loss of their loved one. Although Bundy did claim that he committed the murder of Laura, the confession he gave was deemed to be not enough evidence to close the case and rule out any other party having had committed this crime, as had been speculated at the time. Fortunately, we have new forensic techniques become available through our partnership with the Utah Department of Public Safety Crime Lab that have made the closure of this case possible. We can now say, without a doubt, that Theodore Ted Bundy did in fact murder Laura Ann Aime in the fall of 1974, and that law enforcement now has DNA testing results that are compatible with the latest DNA testing standards. This will make any future DNA test comparison easier for those law enforcement agencies who still have open cases involving Bundy. I will also add that if Bundy were alive today, we would have pursued this case to the fullest extent. We would have pushed this criminal case and asked for punishment, capital punishment, and the death penalty from our Utah County Attorney's Office. At this time, I would like to turn some time over to Sergeant Mike Reynolds, who will go over the details of this investigation. After he speaks, Commissioner Bo Mason will take some time to speak about the crime lab.
Thank you, Sheriff. If I could just open up, I've been asked to kind of answer a few questions that may come up through the overall announcement. Without the strength of this sheriff and this administration, the undersheriff, I believe we still continue to spin some wheels and time continues to burn on. However, with the passion of the sheriff and at his direction of his administrators, we're able to get all of the necessary resources to close a crime that is long overdue. There's not enough that I can say wonderful about the Laura Ann Aime case, and well, excuse me, actually there's nothing that I can't say that's not wonderful about the Laura Ann family. And Laura Aime is the quintessential daughter of Utah County, and we felt the pain that the family feels when she was taken. We felt the pain that you felt this whole entire time, and we've had a desire to deliver to you some type of healing. And I know I can't really say the word closure, but some type of healing, and we hopefully we've brought that. I'm going to kind of go back to script here, it's a little bit easier, but at the onset of the beginning of this assignment to the Utah County Investigations a year ago, this is top priority of myself with its cold cases. My desire is to bring resolution of some kind, of some type, to the families and present some type of closure. I feared that in some time, people would start to forget these victims. They would start to forget the names, and we would really lose the point of serving justice. I met with our existing senior cold case detective, who without him would have also been impossible, and that's Jake Hall, and he's our senior cold case detective. We got together and we created what was called a cold case, stale case, or a slowed case review. We felt it was important for cases of violence, cases of where children are missing or adults are missing, that we revisit these things periodically and we not forget what's out there, and we hold ourselves accountable. And we basically essentially tells ourselves to do better, perform better, and to be better. With cold cases, we face quite a bit of particular challenges, and some of those steeper challenges in comparison to other critical cases are of the integrity. And the sheriff mentioned because we had professional officers back in '74, and because we had professional CSI, we're able today to hold that evidence 52 years almost later. And if it were a course district situation, we believe that they would stand on its face. Over time, evidence starts to degrade. On the positive side, the forensics, the policing, the techniques, the sciences, they evolve. And with that evolution comes the luck that we had. And after scouring the cases and scouring the evidence that we had, we knew we had probably 1 or 2 shots maybe on some of this evidence. And we were able to get in front of the Utah State Forensic Bureau, and we were able to present our case. And they believed in us as well, and they believed that the things that we had scoured through and the things that we presented were professional in nature, and held the key to solving this case, and ultimately which it did. Again, in the beginning of March, this is when we learned we got the results back from the state. We knew that it closed the door of nearly almost 52 years. Later, for Laura Anime, it provides strength, passion, and now we have the final irrefutable blow to Bundy in this case. Laura has that last opportunity to drop her last words, and I believe she did so. And I believe she did so today. She continues to send small signs, and as the day rains, it reassures us that she's happy with the direction we're going. And this is a good thing. This is a great thing. The full DNA profile of Ted Bundy has been recovered from our case, and it stands now as an aid for other cases to be closed. Currently, and under confidential circumstances, we are aware that there is one case that is also going to be close to closure, or be able to be closed due to the evidence that we provide. The sheriff has given his resources and given the green light for us to do anything within our means to cooperate and share anything that we may have with other agencies. In closing, the true last things that I can say is thank you to the Laura Anime case, or Laura Anime family. Thank you for your endurance. Thank you for your accepting us into your family and allowing us to take part and actually know what she was all about. And she is a beautiful woman, and as we did these cases, there was nothing, even 52 years later, there was no evil words, there was nothing harsh said. Everything that was always said with love, and how much of a loving individual she is. And to recall, probably one of the best stories that I heard was she was one of those individuals that just cared for her siblings and would take her siblings out with her own money at the age of in between 13 to early 17. She would buy candy for her little sisters, and she would care for them out of her own money. And it's just something that is hard to be seen and sibling love, and it's something that we need more of. And it was a perfect example of love, and I thank you for allowing the Aime family for me to take part of that. At this point, turn it over to Commissioner. Thank you.
Good morning. I'd like to start off first by recognizing the family of Laura Ann Aime. While we hope this brings closure to the family, we also recognize how hard this must be to bring up these harsh memories of such a tragic time in that family's history. But I'd also like to recognize Sheriff Smith, his deputies, detectives, and evidence technicians that not only continued to work this case some 50 years later, but also preserved that evidence in such a manner that it could still be utilized today. As Commissioner of the Department of Public Safety, one of my duties is to oversee the Bureau of Forensics, Forensic Services, often referred to as our crime lab. Way this case kind of worked out is our crime lab met with the detectives as they're working this case. They look at the evidence and try to decide which pieces of evidence hold the best potential to extract that DNA evidence. They identified those items and began working them within the lab. While doing this, they were able to extract DNA profiles from that evidence, and utilizing a technology that we acquired in early 23 that helps them analyze that evidence, they're able to separate and identify evidence that may be small in sample size, may be degraded due to age or other circumstances, or may contain mixed profiles. Throughout that process, they were able to identify a single male DNA profile and submit that into our CODIS system. CODIS is the combined DNA indexing system that is used nationwide and houses over 26 million profiles from convicted offenders and arrestees in the United States. After submitting that evidence, or that into CODIS, we received a hit back from Florida. Our lab then worked with the lab in Florida to identify which DNA profile that matched, and came back as a positive match to Ted Bundy. This case not only highlights the collaboration between the lab and police agencies across the state and with the Utah County Sheriff's Office, but it highlights the importance of our CODIS system in not only working cold cases, but also current cases. These detectives in this Sheriff's Office and everywhere else in the state are working active cases today that are utilizing this same system. But it's through the advancement of technology and the resources we have today that we're able to find these older cases, degraded samples, and continue to push them in ways that have never been seen before. In closing, I'd just again like to thank the Utah County Sheriff's Office for their continued work to dedicate themselves to 50 years of continuing to push this case and work on other cold cases. And I'd also like to recognize all the individuals working in our lab for their professionalism and expertise to continue to drive to keep Utah safe and push the boundaries of what we know today in technology and advancements in DNA. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sargent. This was a big ask, but we asked the Aime family if they would be willing to come up, have a representative come up and say some words. And Laura's sister, Michelle and Paula, is going to come up and say a few words from the family.
Thank you. I first want to thank the sheriff's team for working so hard on something that we just assumed was a closed case. And so that they had been working on it for a year is really incredible to me. And I'm sure that my mom and dad would be really happy to know that it is closed. You know, I didn't know it was open, but 2 years ago we were informed that the evidence office was putting together a memorial for her, which they have on their wall, and I was asked to, if we had stories, and you know, I kind of panicked, I didn't know what to say. I was 12 when Laura died, she was 17, but we were really close, we shared a room. We rode horses together. She was very passionate about animals, and her horse, Arab, which she spent a lot of time on him, she would feed him red licorice called nibs. I don't know that they even make those anymore, but anyway, after, it was like a treat she gave him, and when she died, he would not eat those anymore. And you know, she was fun. We had a really good time. We used to just do everything. She took me everywhere. You know, as a 12-year-old, that's pretty cool to hang out with your older sister. And I mean, I'm 12 when she died, so I was 11, 10, whatever. We were always together. One time, she had to clean out the barn. We lived in Fairview. We grew up in Fairview, and and she wanted to. We were out there in the dark, and my sister Evelyn, Tara's mom, was taking care of Tommy and Dana, and she was in the house, and Laura decided we should knock on the door and then hide from her. So we would do that. We'd knock on the door, and it's dark out, you know, so Evelyn would open the door, and she'd be like, hello, who's there? And we'd be hiding and laughing about it, you know. And she was just fun. I thought she was fun because, you know, I'm a little kid just following her around, but we had a lot in common. The love of animals and just being outside and doing the things that you do when you live on a farm full of animals. And, you know, we were in 4-H horsemanship, and so we just spent a lot of time together, and I know that she would be really happy to know that it's been closed, that it has been, and just to know that Ted Bundy is like gnashing his teeth in hell is really, I don't know, I hate to think people doing that, but with him and a few other people in the world, that's what they deserve. So anyway, again, I thank you, everybody that's here, for being here. It's really quite amazing that people even are still interested in Laura's case. But I appreciate it. I really appreciate the evidence team and Jake and Mike and you guys for even it being so passionate for you to close. And so I know I speak for my family when I thank you, and thank you media too for even caring. That's it.
Thank you, Michelle. If I can have Mike come up, Commissioner, Sergeant Commissioner, if you come up. We're willing to open it up to questions for a few minutes if anybody has questions.
Can you be a little more specific on where you got the DNA to that match the body? Was it off a fingernail or clothing? Or where did that DNA get?
It was body fluids that were left on Laura Aime's body.
You said this, they helped close another case. Is that a case for Utah County?
So on that, I've got to maintain complete confidentiality as far as that goes, but that won't be in Utah County.
Commissioner, you put the DNA profile into CODIS database, right?
Correct.
But you already had an idea Ted Bundy was responsible. Could you have just compared Ted Bundy's DNA with it directly?
No, the way the CODIS system works is his profile is housed in Florida's CODIS system. And so we do not have a DNA profile for Ted Bundy in the state of Utah. And so the way that works is we enter that into the system, and it goes out and it matches, it goes across the United States into every one of those CODIS systems, and then it will ping back a result. We don't necessarily even know who that result is. We just know it hit in Florida, and then our lab has to work with their lab to say which profile does this match. And it actually goes through a second set of comparisons with their lab technicians to make sure that everything is appropriately analyzed, that it is a confirmed match. It's not just digitized, it's confirmed again. And that's when we actually get the hit and the name saying this was Ted Bundy.
She, prior to last year when you opened the case again, when was the last time you opened the case?
This case has been reviewed and tackled by almost every transition of deputies, to put an exact time, at least within 2 years before I've taken over.
Okay, well, if there's no other questions, I'd like to thank you all for coming out today, and have a good day.
Thank you.
Just a little husband spider.